Hi, Steve Kaposi here again at the Adventuring and Camping School in Northeast Thailand, just continuing my series of videos on making P.E.N.s, primitive, emergency, natural shelters. This is video number 3, and I'm only going to be talking about the raised platform in this video. Now let's talk about raised platforms for a second, because they're very, very important. I've already got 2 videos in this playlist talking about raised platforms. I've designed and built an entire shelter around raised platforms, my raised platform shelter. That's a video already online. And I've got another video where I talk about raised platforms in general. Now check this out. What I've done is put raised platforms into my shelter here. Now I'm just going to crawl in here. And it's following the same principles as I've already talked about. Basically, support beams on the ground and 6-foot poles running across to make the platform, or in this case a bed. I'm just going to quickly get up here, and there you are. Too easy, guys, that's what I'm talking about. And I've got one bed here. Now these raised platforms are critical if you have rain. Now first of all, you're going to get off potentially away from some insects and creeper crawlers and so forth, but that isn't the issue. The main issue is water. Forget about floods and all that sort of stuff. Forget about raised platforms in swamps and jungles and so forth. I'm in Thailand. It's jungle environments, very wet environments, so that does apply. But the only time I've seen raised platforms talked about, you get these fake TV shows like Dual Survival, and they're in a jungle, in a swamp, and they're building a raised platform. Forget about all that. You want a raised platform just when it rains. And I've heard no one, in my experience anyway, I've heard no one talk about this. I don't care how carefully you select your shelter site, when it rains, water, and not even flowing water, just water slowly seeps through the dirt and mud and comes into your shelter. That's what's going to happen. On raised platforms, you're going to be up off the ground. Your support beams are 3-4 inch in diameter. Your bed poles, the actual platform poles, are 2 inch max. I've learnt 1 to 2 inch, 2.5 inch max. They're more comfortable than 3 inch poles. So with 4 inch plus 2 inch, you're going to get 5-6 inches off the ground. You're up off any water seepage. When it rains, water's going to come in, you're going to be up off the water. You're also going to be storing your gear and firewood up on platforms, and you don't care about water coming in now. You can see I've made a small demonstration really platform here for firewood, 2 support beams. I've got a platform down the end alcove. I'll get the camera and go in there and show you up close. I can store my gear, food and firewood on these raised platforms. You can make the platform as wide as you want and as long as you want to suit the dimensions of your shelter and also your body. If you're a tall person, do you need more than 6-foot poles and so forth? So I'm not too sure how much I can emphasise the importance of poles. It takes more work. Yes, you've got to collect the resources, but there it is. Raised platforms, and I'm going to get the camera and take you in there. So we're coming into the shelter here. Here's a small demonstration, small platform, that's all you need. 2 support beams, bang, and you can lay a couple of beams here, firewood, or you just have 2 on the end, like that. And then lay firewood this way, bang, like that, whichever way you want. That is the most basic raised platform, is 2 support beams. Here's our 2 beds. Here's our support beams, about 3 inch in diameter. This one's about 4 inch at the biggest. Down that end as well, and 6-foot poles minimum coming across like that. 1 2-inch poles. I don't think you want to get to 3-inch poles to lay on. It can get uncomfortable. But make it as smooth as possible, as round as possible. You can use your axe or machete to cut off the knots and branches and smooth it down and so forth. I've got a few bamboo to make it more comfortable. I've got a few bamboo poles here as well. Bamboo is a great resource, but wooden poles, branches and so forth. Let's walk right down to the alcove. And the alcove is formed by your tripod. There's my A-frame again. There, the 2 pieces. And the 3rd tripod support going out there. This is the great thing about having a tripod as opposed to just having a A-frame up against a tree or something. You get all that extra space. That's the bonus you get from having a tripod. It's more work, more resources to collect, but you get this bonus space. And again, this whole area has been filled out by a platform. Check it out. These are all small poles, just small poles, split bamboo pieces, 1-inch poles, you name it. And I've thrown a bit of wood there just to show how firewood can go up there. Your gear, food, firewood. And all I've used, by the way, for the supports are offcuts from palm fronds. They're just those palm fronds. You need to cut those end pieces off when I use the palm as a roof. That's a future video. And that's an example of how you can use resources, or else just use wooden poles like that, bang, 2. And you can see how the wood gets smaller, shorter poles, just to fill in that triangle shape for the alcove here. If water seeps in, it's no worries at all. And I've got my platforms here. I'll lay down again here like that. You've got it made. And there it is. 5-6 inches off the ground. I'd rather be up here than on the ground, even on a plastic sheet. I'm away from water, potentially away from insects and so forth. Now, there's one more important thing I need to mention about raised platforms. I hear a lot of talk about, oh, if you want a nice comfy bed, insulation, you bring in all your leaves and grass and debris and have a nice cushy bed and lay on. You don't want that. You bring rubbish like that into your shelter, you're going to bring in insects, creepy crawlies, parasites, ticks and so forth. That's the last resort. There might be some real emergency situations where you need to cover yourself in leaves and grass if you're going to freeze to death or something, possibly. But you want to be up on a nice, clean wooden platform. Now, if you need insulation between the ground, you can now shove debris, leaves, grass and so forth under the platform between the ground and the platform if you need some insulation between the ground. But you're still going to be sleeping up on a nice, clean wooden platform. I'm just going to have Mr. Sumret, my lead survival instructor here at the school, come in and demonstrate how 2 people can sleep in here. There you go, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Check this out. 2 people, easy. 6-foot poles, 4-foot ridge pole. You've got 2 people in here, no worries at all. Up on nice raised platforms, off the ground. The water's going to come in. We're going to sleep fine. I hope that pretty much explains raised platforms. I hope that was interesting, and I'll see you for the next video. And Mr. Sumred doesn't even want to come out. He wants to sleep there all night. And of course, you've seen the 2 of us in many videos on my YouTube channel. Expeditions 1 and 2, it's the 2 of us going on the major camping trips into the mountains.